Arsenal's future, Martin Odegaard, a player who leads by example in every way.
Martin Odegaard is a few matches away from captaining Arsenal to Premier League history. Odegaard is one of the best midfielders in the world right now. The dude can do anything, from scoring bangers to dropping world-class assists. Odegaard's got the entire skill set on lock. But when it gets down to it, is he really the reason Arsenal's going to win the league? For Martin Odegaard, his breakthrough was insane. He made his first team debut for Real Madrid at 15. I was flipping burgers at McDonald's at that age. After becoming the youngest player to play in the Norwegian Tippeligaen at 15 years and 118 days, for Storm's Godset, he signed his first professional contract with the club. At the time, he had a lot of critics saying the club had taken a gamble by signing a kid his age. But 11 days later, he turned these critics into his biggest fans. Odegaard ended his first season as a pro with 5 goals and 7 assists in 23 games, and quickly became one of the hottest young prospects in the world. Pretty soon, Odegaard had dudes like me digging up his bio on Google, and that's when I realized football had always been in his blood. See, Odegaard's dad, Hans-Erik Odegaard, used to be a former pro himself, and even played for Storm's Godset. So seeing his son break into the first team early on must have made him proud. And I bet he'd have been prouder in the coming months too, because in the summer of 2014, Odegaard was making history on an even bigger stage. He made his debut for the national team as a 15-year-old. Amazing! From this moment on, Odegaard had some of the world's best teams racing to sign him. Liverpool and Manchester City invited him over to give him a tour of their stadiums and try to convince him to join. And even Bayern Munich entered the race for his signature, but in the end, Odegaard decided that the next move in his early career was going to be huge. Yep, I'm talking Real Madrid huge. He'd signed for Real Madrid as a 15-year-old for $3 million. Dude playing EAFC in real life. Odegaard's move to Real Madrid was supposed to be history in the making. The club had even announced that he trained with both the first team and the reserves to allow him to grow as a player. But pretty soon, Odegaard was about to realize that the difference between promoting talent and world class is pretty big. He was struggling in Spain, language issues, playing for both the first team and reserves, as well as the hype around him. It was a lot, and the kid couldn't exactly keep up. He only made one league start after signing for Real Madrid in 2015. And a year later, at the start of the 2016-17 season, Odegaard knew that if he was going to grow and reach the early hype around him, he needed to man up and demand more game time, so at the start of the new season, Odegaard was out. He went to the Dutch Eredivisie to join SC Heerenveen on an 18-month loan deal, bagging 3 goals and 5 assists in 43 games. While these stats didn't exactly scream world-class talent, Odegaard was still only 17. But in his next season in the Eredivisie, he was back on the radar once more. Same league, different club, Odegaard had gone on loan again, this time joining SBV Vitesse for the 2018-19 season, and here he was different gravy. Odegaard notched up an impressive 11 goals and 13 assists in 39 games for Vitesse, establishing himself as a first-team regular, and this form helped him find his way back home to the national team. See, after his lack of game time early on in Madrid, Odegaard was out of the national team for 18 months, and his form at his new club earned him the right to play for Norway, and back home, he was determined to show that he belonged. He was now off the mark for Norway with his improved form. Odegaard would probably have been on the bench, at least for any team in La Liga, but not Real Madrid, because even with this, Real Madrid still had ballers like Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Casemiro, Federico Valverde, Isco, and James Rodriguez, all in midfield. With these guys still in the team, Odegaard knew if he was going to keep up his impressive form and bag more minutes, he'd have to move away. But before another Dutch club could take him again, Real Sociedad came in and gave him an offer that he could not be able to refuse. If you join us, we'll show you how to subscribe to the best football content on YouTube. Straight away, Odegaard was hooked. He signed the papers, and once they showed him how to subscribe to footballers, like I'm about to show you now, it was official. The loan deal was supposed to last for 2 years, but it only took a month for Odegaard to show Real Madrid what they were missing. He won the La Liga Player of the Month award for September, hadn't even spent 2 months at his new club, and he was already balling. Odegaard was getting better with each game, and by January 2020, he'd already established himself as the creative force in Real Sociedad's drive to play European football in the following season. At least, that was what both Sociedad and Real Madrid thought until the day Odegaard himself changed everything. His goal in this Copa del Rey quarter-final match helped Sociedad dump his parent club out of the competition. After that goal, Madrid decided to call him back and cut short the loan deal, but by January, having played only 7 games all season, Odegaard was on the move again. Only this time, what he didn't know was that this next move was going to be the last one, because he was about to find the new place he could call home. Mikel Arteta believed Odegaard was the missing piece in Arsenal's team, and he was trying to build it because, in his eyes, Odegaard had the potential to become the next Mesut Ozil at the club or even better. During the early 6 months at Arsenal, Odegaard's game wasn't about the numbers because under Arteta he was playing as an 8, deep in midfield and being the string to connect play, meaning he ended his first 6 months at Arsenal with 2 goals and 2 assists in 20 games. But Arteta had seen enough. He knew Odegaard had the potential to become even better in the future, plus he'd been made national team captain at just 22 years old in March. A leader Arsenal lacked in midfield. The dude ticked all the boxes, so Arteta and Arsenal splashed the cash that summer, and Odegaard was a permanent gunner. If 2020-21 was his arrival, 2021-22 was the year Odegaard stepped up to the party. Better numbers and better performances too. That season, Arsenal finished 5th, narrowly missing out on Champions League qualifications to neighbors Spurs. But it was clear now that Odegaard was in the team, and he was the central point to everything good Arsenal wanted to be. And even though his numbers had improved with 7 goals and 4 assists in the league, it was his maturity that stood out. He was now one of the main leaders of the team, and at the start of the 2022-23 season, he was all set to become the main leader, Arsenal's new captain. It's almost as if the armband gave him a power-up, because that season Odegaard started playing like he was possessed. Now it was clear he could do everything. He already had the skills, but now he was putting up the numbers in the most watched league in the world. 15 goals and 7 assists don't even tell the full story. Sometimes it was like watching a magician perform. Odegaard's form had also come with players like Bukayo and Saka reaching new heights in their game, and they'd been outperforming expectations so much that with 8 games left to play, Odegaard was on his way to leading Arsenal to a first league title since the old PlayStation 2 days, 2004. Unfortunately, though, they choked on it and just missed out on the league with 5 points. But Odegaard's form didn't go unnoticed, and at the end of the season, he was bagging the big awards. He bagged all 3 awards at the London Football Awards and was voted Arsenal's Player of the Season with a staggering 68% of the votes, and made the Premier League's Team of the Season too. In fact, Odegaard had become so good that now he was being mentioned in the same vein as one of the best midfielders in the world. Some dudes were even comparing him to Kevin De Bruyne, man. He was the guy at Arsenal. 2023-24 now, and Captain Odegaard and Arsenal could not have gotten off to a better start. Started the season with a trophy, 8 games left to play in the league, and with his 6 goals and 6 assists, Odegaard still has Arsenal deep in the title race with Liverpool and Manchester City, and they're in the Champions League quarterfinals too, where they'd face Bayern Munich. Looking back at it now, it's clear that if Arsenal are going to surprise the world and win the Premier League for the first time in 20 years, or the Champions League for the first time in their history, Odegaard's going to be the key. And with the way he's playing, it's more than safe to say he's up for the challenge. If I'm being honest though, I knew he was up for it the day he subscribed to Footballers. The channel is the OG on the game, and you can become one too by hitting the subscribe button down below.